Okay, if we could all take our seats, we're going to get started. That's perfect. I wanted to start by welcoming everybody to Liberty Elementary School. My name is Joseph Manko. I'm the proud principal of this school, and also a huge supporter of Judy Centers throughout Baltimore City, and our Judy Center here at Liberty Elementary School. So we have been fortunate enough to be part of the Judy Center initiative for 2 years. It has been an amazing, amazing blessing for this school. I see so many wonderful supporters and people who have been with us throughout this entire journey, and we are so grateful for the huge outpouring of support. I am completely overwhelmed by not just the amount of people in this room, but the amount of power and support and energy for an initiative that is incredibly, incredibly important for our students. I would be remiss if I didn't mention our team. So, the heart and soul of our Judy Center here at Liberty Elementary is Miss Charlene Campbell. So I'm going to bring her up here.
Allen wrench.
Yeah.
Allen wrench for the heat. He does. Hi, everyone. My name is Charlene Lannone-Campbell. I'm the Liberty Judy Center director here, and just been walking up the steps, so I've got to breathe. And I just want to say that working with Mr. Manko and our team at the Judy Center, it's just been fabulous. This is my second year. We work with the pre-K teachers, kindergarten teachers, and all of our families. We get to work with toddlers and bring toddlers along. We have a partnership with some really wonderful community resources, and it's just been a blessing for all of us. Thank you.
We're going to turn it over to Tom, head of the Baltimore Community Foundation, and thank you to them for all of their support throughout this project here at Liberty and throughout the city.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charlene. Joe is a rock star, and if we do our work right, we're going to have rock stars all over this city. So thank you, Joe, for setting such an extraordinary example. Look who's here. This is fabulous, all about them, and you're all here for them. Judy Center coordinators, principals, school personnel, top national leaders, major donors, powerful people, people who care. You're all here because you know the future lies with them. So thank you so much for coming. And also, how cool is BCF? Right now, we are, Baltimore, you have to say online. We are online all across. People are watching us on their computers as this is happening. So as you can be sure, I had nothing to do with this. It was people half my age who made all that happen. But it's very cool. Today we are making a big announcement. Rather than 3, rather than 5, over 5 years, we are announcing 9 new Judy Centers in only 3 years. As you well know, because you've made it happen, Judy Centers, I wish they could, Stenny, I wish your wife had a different first name. Judy is not easy for those of us who stutter, but we're going to make it through.
Her middle name was Elaine, is that bad?
Elaine's a whole lot better. So, okay, Elaine Centers. As you well know, Elaine/Judy Centers connect young children and their family with the resources that help create the best possible environment for school readiness and early learning. The Community Foundation strategic plan set a goal to increase the number of children ready for kindergarten in Baltimore to 90% by 2017. The percentage of those ready, as measured by the Maryland Measurement for School Readiness, has grown from 28% in 2002 to 76% in 2013, and this past fall, with the new measure that's park-related, the R4K, Baltimore City students outperformed their statewide candidates. Something's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We can get to 90, and we can even get to 90 with the new measure, and we're going to get there. And I want to tell you how we got where we are and how we're going to get there. We determined that in Judy Centers, 85 to 93% of the children were ready for kindergarten versus 76% most recently and only 28% 12 years ago. So very obviously, a niche that BCF could find with limited resources, at that point limited resources, thanks to you all, they're a little less limited right now, said let's open more of these Judy Centers. And doing so depended upon two things: funding for new centers from private donors and securing commitments for the city, as well as finding awesome schools with a great principal and the people ready to take advantage of the resources that are there to make that happen. We managed to achieve both of those things. In fact, as I said, our goals expanded and our dreams came true. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of you know this, but thanks to our donors and Dr. Thornton's cooperation, we will be providing seed funding for a full-time coordinator of all 13 centers around this city. Somebody will be there for the Judy Centers, helping them. Somebody will be representing their interests at North Avenue. Somebody will be helping them coordinate and talk to each other. Somebody will be setting the stage for this ongoing effort. And we're thrilled that BCF donors can pay for the full cost of this in year one, for 2/3 of the cost of this in year two, for 1/3 in year three, and the city schools are going to pick up the full funding over those years so we can have a great, great leader. You should be proud. All of you should be proud. All who love Baltimore and BCF should be proud. And I want to introduce my colleague, Cristina Lopez, who, along with a bunch of volunteers about whom you're going to hear, along with Danesta Hunt, made all of this possible. So, Cristina, would you come forward, please?
And I have the distinct honor of introducing Tom Gildee. Tom Gildee is currently an honorary trustee of the Baltimore Community Foundation, having served as an active member of the board for 14 years. His passion for education, he has spent a good deal of time investigating what helps children succeed. As chair of BCF's Education Committee, Tom became the standard bearer, our leader, and our champion for Judy Centers with us on the staff. We are very glad to have him here today to help us announce and celebrate 9 new Judy Centers in Baltimore City.
Okay, I don't think I've ever been asked to give a 2-minute speech, and I don't think it's going to happen today. I've had to cut out a lot of stuff, so just you have to bear with me. You know, 1 in 10 low-income kids will graduate from college, and that's compared to 8 in 10 high-income kids. There are plenty of studies pointing out the difference between a high-income kid when he reaches kindergarten and a low-income kid. But the statistic that blows my mind is that the high-income child will have heard millions and millions of vocabulary words, millions. And how the study figured this, I don't know, but 30 million. I didn't think I knew that many vocabulary words. But anyway, that's an astounding statistic. So that's why we need Judy Centers. It's just a very simple fact. And I'm just going to tell you what the heart of a Judy Center is, which most of you probably know. A Judy Center works with low-income families from birth to 5. Their real role is to collaborate and find partners, and diverse partners, from government agencies to private partners to other type of agencies. And they all work together to work with the families, the low-income families, and the kids to help them to be successful. So all Judy Centers aren't the same, because all communities aren't the same. So, but a typical Judy Center, like we would have here, like at Moravia Park, they would have programs like pre-K for 4-year-olds, Ks for 5-year-olds, Head Start for 3-year-olds, preschool for 2-year-olds. You would have mental and health screenings and vision screenings. You would have reach out to community to train informal providers in the home. You might have summer programs and family education programs, and maybe other things. But the point of it is that they work, and that the low-income kids, we are narrowing the gap for school readiness. And that's the thing that matters, because it's a huge factor in whether you're going to be successful for the rest of your life. So, I would be remiss if I didn't at least recognize the true innovator and founder of this program, which is Judith Hoyer. And she quoted, no one can say it better than this, "To me, the most crucial responsibility of any community is the protection, education, and mentoring of its children. As adults, guardians, and parents, we must offer as many opportunities as possible to ensure the success and development of our children. If we can do this, we will all have met our most fundamental obligation to ourselves, our families, and our communities." So thank you.
Our expansion of Judy Centers depended on two things: significant private investment and commitment from the public sector. We are more than fortunate to have found two very special people at the beginning of this Judy Center journey. George and Betsy Sherman were our lead donors, funding the first Judy Center at Commodore John Rogers in East Baltimore, and then challenged us to do what we didn't even know if we could do, which was to then set the goal at doing 8 Judy Centers, and challenged us that they would fund the last center if we could then fill in the rest. Thank you very, very much for that challenge. For believing in us, I welcome you to the podium.
Well, I have to say, I babysat as a teenager. I ran camp counseling. I did camp counseling. I went on to college to major in early childhood education 50 years ago. I went on to teach in many different amazing opportunities for me to grow as a human being, and specifically in my love of children. I went on to become a married woman, have 4 amazing sons, grandparent. Throughout my life, I have felt this incredible passion for our little children, our babies who come into the world through just through fate. They are born into a certain circumstance. Those of us who have been fortunate, and I went through college on a scholarship. Fortunately, my husband was willing to help me pay off those loans. I found myself feeling over and over again, where are the people who believe, as I do, that we have to invest in our children from gestation on, in my opinion. And then we found a home here. And my heart is overfilled with joy and gratitude to your amazing wife. I'm sorry I never had the privilege to meet her, but she echoes everything within me. And I just want to say it's a thrill to be standing here, gathered together with people of like mind, and I thank every one of you.
Not a lot to add following Betsy, Tom, and Tom. But what I would say is that we started trying to work on early childhood education about 3 years ago with very little success. I know we talked to the Meyerhoffs, among others, and we tried to find ways, and we couldn't get there. And BCF was able to pull this together with the Judy Center concept. And from my standpoint as a businessman, this is an investment. This is really a great investment. And what we don't see in this, if we can think a little long term, is that incarceration is 2 to 3 times the cost of education. And the United States has 5% of the population and 25% of the people incarcerated. If one can think a little long term and look at what's happening with the kids that are going to get this opportunity, we can start to see a major change in time. And that prevention will actually be a great investment for the country. And hopefully it'll start right here in Baltimore. Thank you.
So I can't describe better than Betsy just did the people who work in Judy Centers. Our coordinators, our Judy Center coordinators, our family service coordinators, and other staff. They're entrepreneurial, they're optimistic, they love their jobs, and they care about their children and their families. Many of them, if not all of them, are here today. Please get to know them after we finish this program. But I'd like to introduce a very special person who we first met at BCF when we were learning about Judy Centers. We went to Moravia Park and we met Michelle Matthews. And Michelle doesn't like when I say that she is the matriarch of Judy Centers in Baltimore City, but I say that with all respect and all gratitude. And so I'm very, very happy to introduce to you Michelle Matthews.
Thank you. I came to Moravia Judy Center in about 2004, and at that time, Moravia was only one of 2 Judy Centers in Baltimore City. And since 1980, I've been with Baltimore City Schools and work with all kinds of programs for children birth to 5, from preschool special education teacher to home teacher to evaluator, but something was always missing. And the thing is missing is that Judy Center model. It's effective because it looks at the whole child, from their social, emotional development to their physical development, and not leaving out the family. So we provide supports to the family, empowering them to be educators of their children. So all of that is with the goal of children coming to kindergarten fully ready for school. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever envision such an expansion of Judy Centers in our city. So with this expansion, more children, more families, they'll receive those support services so that the children are kindergarten ready, and in that broader picture, they are coming out of schools, career and college ready. So for that, I'm so grateful for the vision of BCF and for the generosity, so that more children, and helping us to reach that reality of more children being fully ready for school. Now, I'd like to introduce one of the parents that we worked with. Her name is Sierra Watkins. We'd like to invite Ms. Sierra up so that she can share her experience as a parent that we've worked with in Moravia Judy Center in Baltimore City.
Hello. My daughter came to Moravia Park in 2012, I think it was. I met Miss Michelle, and she welcomed me and made me feel comfortable. And because I went to Moravia Park myself, I felt better with my children going there. And my daughter's starting for 3 years. It's the program they had in the summer program. Excuse me, I'm nervous. And they helped my child get so much better than what I thought I could. As a single parent of 2 daughters, it's very hard of doing things by yourself when you think you can't, get them back where they are. But I was thinking back to then, and Friday, my daughter just got 5 awards at her award ceremony, and I thought about it couldn't have been there without the help of the Judy Center, because they helped us a lot. They also helped me with my learning personally, learning how to write and speak well. With the adult classes that they provided. I completed that last year. And the food bank they have that help us with food. Anytime I needed help, they was there to help us. I don't know what I would do without the help of Judy Center and the help of Miss Michelle. I'd make sure she know all the time. I always say thank you. Every time she say anything, I say thank you, thank you. I always probably get on her nerves. But she know, I just want her to know I'm genuine about it. My kids love her, and I hope that Judy Centers and all the other schools is the same way. We really are grateful, really grateful. Thank you.
Today, we want to thank publicly and from our hearts the incredibly generous donors who stepped forward in the last 3 years to put together $6 million to open not 5 Uh-oh.
Wait.
We got disruption.
I want to say we.
Everything's got to stop for a second. If you're like me, as soon as I'm around these kids, I can't talk. I just have to look. Hey. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Well, it's probably appropriate to welcome the children now. Okay. Thank you. As I was saying, we raised this incredible amount of $6 million to open not 5, 6, 7, or 8, but 9 Judy Centers, which is incredible for Baltimore City's children. We are going to call each donor forward for a very special thank you and ask all of our donors to stay up front until all names have been called so we can take a group photo. We will go in alphabetical order, but I'm going to start out of order because it's only right to mention first the people who not only were first in giving, but who challenged all of us to reach beyond our initial goal and who themselves provided startup funding for two Judy Centers. Just happens. Okay, George and Betsy Sherman, please come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
That's all right. Okay. So now, starting in alphabetical order, the Baltimore Ravens, represented here today by Ravens President and BCF Trustee Dick Cass. Thank you.
And I'd like to add that the Steve and Renee Bisciotti Foundation is also represented by Dick Cass. So thank you, Steve and Renee.
Thank you. The Blaustein Family Fund for Basic Human Needs at BCF and the Rosenberg Family Fund at BCF, both represented here today by Betsy Ringel, Executive Director of the Blaustein Philanthropic Group.
Eddie and Sylvia Brown, and Sylvia is here with us. Thank you, Eddie and Sylvia.
The Mary Ellen Ruff Brush Endowment for Education at BCF, represented here today by the late Mrs. Brush's advisor, Jeff Gagne. Thank you so much.
Okay. The Ben and Zelda Cohen Foundation, represented today by Rosalie and Richard and Davison. Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
The Cordish family, represented here today by Alexis Thompson and Melissa Cordish. Are they here?
M&T Bank, represented today by M&T President Augie Chiasera and Senior VP J. Michael Riley.
Oh my goodness, I didn't realize he was in a booth. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Mike. Thanks
I
so
didn't realize.
much. You're big enough to be a raven.
Robert Meyerhoff and Rita Becker, represented here today by Bob and Rita.
Yeah, it's getting crowded. That's all right. Arnie and Allison Richmond. Is Arnie here?
He ended up.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Arnie and Allison. Thank you.
The Philip and Beryl Sachs Family Foundation, represented today by David Sachs.
David and Sarah Shapiro. I don't think they're here today, but
Thank you very
so
much. And likewise to Harriet Stolman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The T. Rowe Price Foundation, represented here today by Meredith Callanan, John Brothers, and Sharita Thomas.
Is Sharita here?
I'm not sure. Are they all three here? Hey, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meredith. You got to come on over. Oh, okay. It's getting crowded, but it will be all right. Okay.
The Thalheimer family funded BCF. Juliet Urick could not be here today, but we thank her very much.
Yeah, thank you much, Juliet. Under Armour and Fight for Children, represented here today by Stacy Ulrich, Michelle English, Dana Telfair, Ellett Toomey, and Brittany Oliver.
The Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Foundation, represented here today by Judge Ellen Heller and Cheryl Goldstein.
Wells Fargo Foundation. I don't think they're represented, but thank you all at
Thank
Wells
you very
Fargo.
much. And Sue Woolman. Thank you so much, Sue. And I have one last donor name to read out of alphabetical order, and that is Tom and Jeannie Gildee. Where's Jeannie? So as I said before, Tom Gildee was the chair of the Baltimore Community Foundation's Education Committee when we were researching ways to push, wait, I should stop, I can't talk about it. While we were researching ways to push Baltimore school readiness to 90%. Tom and Jeannie have done more than carry the banner for Judy Centers in these last 4 years. They have put their heart and soul into expanding Judy Centers to serve more children. Tom, you have pushed us, you've challenged us, you've served as a role model, and you and Jeannie are just wonderful people. We are so honored.
Slide over this way. Slide over to the people. Slide over that way. Slide over that way. Just like this. Hold it just like that. Just like that. Okay, hold it right there. Okay, can you see everybody's faces? Ma'am, in the back. Can you move forward just a little bit? I can't see you. Okay, we're looking at this camera right here. Can you get them all in? Okay. Hey, everybody look over here. Say cheese. One more, right here. Look at me. Say cheese. Say good morning. Good morning. That's better. One more. Good morning. Okay, thank you very much.
One more. Mayor, come on. And Stanley Hoy. All right.
Yes, right next to Miss Ulrich. No. You okay, sir? I need the kids to surround him, please. Quickly. There we go. Good. Excellent. Okay. Beautiful. Jump right in there. All right. Guys, you're doing so good. Hey, everyone. Everybody, look at this camera right here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
One more. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Whoa. That's nice. What's our capacity? We're not done.
Should we interpret more?
You think that's going to be? Yeah. I'm not taking the phone call. I just want to be, I don't want to do anything. I want it to go. Yeah. It's going to be good. And what, that'll give us what? That'll give us a runway now of how long?
They say they want to announce us in September of next year. So according to their planning committee,
What can we do? What do you see as our immediate? I'm a firm we got this thing. I don't want to jinx it.
yeah. Well, so we should, I actually need to move the program along.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah.
All right. Did Stanley lose his seat?
Oh, sure. Thank you. Who am I? Find a kid here.
All right. Oh, excuse me. Hi. Excuse me. So we just saw a group of people who are critical to the Judy Center expansion. But as you all know, there are a lot of people who have been critical to this expansion. We've got many partners in the back, and we have many partners here. I'm going to introduce Tom to talk to us more about the big picture. Thank you.
Thanks, Cristina, so much. So these things don't happen automatically. This requires a lot of detail and a lot of follow-through. And the fact that we've got a three-part coordinated effort, actually 4 parts, that involves the United States Department of Education, the Maryland State Department of Education, the city schools, and the City of Baltimore, and the Baltimore Community Foundation, developing memoranda of understanding, ensuring matching gifts, et cetera. And it wouldn't happen without our colleagues from Venable, our lawyers, Bob Waldman, and where are my notes here? Who's helping you, Bob? Oh, and Ron Taylor, of all people. He helps us in lots of ways. And all the funders as well. This all began, Nancy Grasmick started all this a long time ago, and so much of it came from your vision for young people in Baltimore, followed well by Dr. Lowry, by Ralph Grofwallner, who played an extraordinary role. Unfortunately, he's in Germany this morning. And Cheryl D'Atley from MSDE, extraordinary. Kiefer Mitchell is here representing the governor. Perry Gorgon, Director of Early Learning for City Schools. Tisha Edwards helped set up the first set of matches. And Dr. Thornton obviously has been deeply involved. Charlene, lannone-Campbell, whom you met, who's the Judy Center coordinator here at Liberty and one of our hosts today. And all of our Judy Center coordinators, family services coordinators, and the principals of these schools. And as well the staff and trustees of the Baltimore Community Foundation. We did all this without any outside help, so I just can't thank my colleagues enough for making this event possible, along with these many years of setup, as well as other partners like PNC Bank, that does grow up great, and the Wright Family Foundation, and a bunch of other people. So thank you to you and to all the names that I inadvertently left out. As people have said, all of this started with Judith Elaine Hoyer. And without her vision, without her experience, without her extraordinary ability to make things happen, these wonderful young people wouldn't have the future that they now have. And thousands of young people like them would not have the future without her work. So, Congressman Hoyer, thank you so much for being here. And come forward.
Very, very much. Judy would be extraordinarily pleased at this day, save one thing, that there was a focus on Judy. Judy's focus was always on the balloon carriers. And by the way, we had so many balloons, I thought we were going to build 9 more, Judy said, right off the bat. I am so pleased to be here with you. Judy died February 6, 1997. But before her death, obviously, she made some extraordinary contributions. Extraordinary contributions to children, but also to the concept of cooperation and partnership. That's what she was about. She was not about doctor taking credit. She was not about aggrandizement for the elementary school or the health department or the social services or the child caregiver or the dental provider. She was about the children. And her concept was that all of us together have opportunities to be the village. Judy was 7 years of age, and she looked up at her mom after she came home after one of her classes in the 2nd grade, and she said to her mom, I want to be a teacher. And she never strayed from that objective. And at 18, we got in my 1949 Dodge Coupe with slush-o-matic drive that went from 0 to 60 in an hour and 15 minutes. But it made it every weekend to Towson. And there Judy met another beautiful young woman who also had passion and vision. And her name was Nancy. So Judy and Nancy, for 4 years, became fast friends, and Judy and Nancy became extraordinary educators. The Nancy that sits here, and the Judy who was her friend and partner in the creation of the Judy Centers. Now, Judy didn't know she was going to be the partner in creating the Judy Centers. She created in Adelphi, Maryland, a school for 3- and 4-year-olds attendant to an elementary school in Adelphi. And her whole concept was that it was important that children, particularly those, Tom, as you point out, who are not only economically deprived, but educationally deprived, culturally deprived, not because somebody wants to deprive them, but because those with whom they live do not have the capability to impart to them the fast start that parents who have all those skills can give. And so she started what was not then, of course, the Judy Center, and we talked about it in terms of full service, of marshaling the resources of the community together to make sure that those children would become and have the capability to become extraordinary adults. You know, Tom, by the way, Tom was trying to imitate John Boehner for a little bit there. You didn't get to John Boehner when he was saying hello, started to cry. But I thought, Tom, you would have done it. Yeah. And they were tears of joy, not tears of sadness. Frederick Douglass, born a slave in the state of Maryland on the Eastern Shore, who became one of Lincoln's advisors on the Emancipation Proclamation, but he was so much more than that. He said that it is easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men. That's what all of you are doing. You're taking some of your resources and investing them in building strong children. Ted Agnew and I were elected the same year to public office in this state. That means I'm 113 years of age. The mayor is shaking her head. Yeah, you old guys. And Agnew, in his inaugural address, said what Frederick Douglass said. He said it in a different way. And he said that the cost of failure far exceeds the price of progress. That's what you meant, Tom, when you talked about these young people not being in jail, these young people not being on a street corner, these young people not being able to get a job, not being able to, with all of us, help build our community rather than to tear down our community. That's what Douglass and Agnew, two very different types of people, had in mind. And that's what all of you have in mind. And if Judy were here, she would thank you so profusely. You know, they're called the Judith P. Hoyer Early Childhood Education and Child Care Centers. Nobody calls them that. Tom will call them the Elaine Centers. The rest of us will call them the Judy Centers. But they're making a difference, not just for these children, whose lives they certainly are changing, but they are making a difference for our communities, for our counties, for our state, for our country, and indeed for our global village. By the way, when we inaugurated the first Judy Center, this was after Judy's death, the speaker at that inaugural ceremony, Nancy, you remember, was Hillary Clinton, who had worked with Judy on some other matters as well. So I thank you. And Judy would thank you not for investing in a Judy Center, but in those children, in those young people who held those balloons. And Cheryl D'Atley, let me thank you. Cheryl D'Atley has been at the center of Judy Centers for a very long time. She started in Charles County at a Judy Center. Met her there, and then Nancy asked her to come. And when we started the Judy Centers, Paris Glendenning was the governor of our state, and Mark Shriver had a bill in. It was a child care bill, limited to after-school child care. And I went to Mark, I'd known Mark for some pretty time, and Judy had worked with Mark in Baltimore City. Mark had a program for 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old young men, most of whom could not read. And he called Judy up one day and said, Judy, could you come up here and try to help have these young men read? And she did so. So Mark and Judy had a long-term working relationship. And so when I went to Mark and I said, Mark, you've got a bill in, and we'd like to change it slightly. Well, it was more than perhaps slightly. But the advocates of child care, what was her name? I can't. Sandy Skolnick was one of our partners because she was focused on child care, so critically important. And in our society, we need to make child care more available and more accessible and more affordable for millions of young moms and dads. So Mark said yes. And so we fashioned what has now become the Judy Centers. And one of the things that Nancy Grasmick focused on from the very beginning was to make sure that your investments had a benchmark for success. You talked about accountability, that they work. Because if they don't work, there's no reason why the public or the private ought to invest in Judy Centers. Brenda Reaver, you may have known her as Brenda Lippitz, but I've known her as both. She and I were at dinner after a Maryland game at the stadium here in Baltimore. And she said this event was happening. And maybe Betsy, we'd heard about it. Let me also, Betsy Bossert standing here, she's my district director. And she, for every day that the Judy Centers have existed, has been on my staff and worked with Nancy and her staff and Cheryl to make sure that Judy Centers were a success. Thank you. Judy was an extraordinary woman. Whatever I have done will pale beside her accomplishments. Thanking you for helping her help these kids.
Thank you for that wonderful tribute to a wonderful woman. This morning's Baltimore Sun rightly outlined the extraordinary steps that our mayor has taken to put our fiscal house in order. This is not something that gets you a lot of flashes, it gets you in a lot of trouble. It was responsibility, it was a big idea, and it took a lot of hard work, and we're all very proud of that work. And I'm looking forward to reaping the benefits from it for generations. This mayor has also, along with Dr. Thornton, been challenging us to think about another big idea. A big idea that could take the Judy Center concept and have it throughout all of our schools and in all of our neighborhoods, and redirect dollars so that we can have a big, big goal. And to think about what kind of promise we can make to our children. Taking this kind of leadership and bringing as many people under the umbrella of this new opportunity as has been demanded has required a lot of leadership. And I thank my two very good friends for making this happen. And Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake, thank you for helping us with all of this and for all the very big things you've worked on. Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake.
Thank you very much, Tom. This is a great day. I can't think of a more beautiful way to start the week. I know you've heard the same things that I've heard over the past few months as we look at some of our, particularly our young people that have had significant challenges in Baltimore. If they worked harder, they would be successful. If they studied harder, they would have been able to graduate. There's this assumption that the lot in life is chosen. And Betsy, you said it so well. It's not. You don't choose as a baby which family to be born into. But too many of us look at the flower planted in poor soil and damn it for not blooming. This is about a community coming together to make a different decision. We know what happens when you're not ready to go to school. The evidence is clear as day. You study after study after study. If you're not ready to enter preschool, you are on the track for not being able to read at grade level by third grade. More likely to drop out of high school, more likely to be incarcerated, more likely to be jailed for long periods of time. And the saddest part about it is the statistics around incarcerated individuals pass on to their children. And children of incarcerated individuals are far more likely than those who have parents who've never been incarcerated to be incarcerated themselves. So as a community, we know the facts. But because of the Judy Center and Steny, you should be so proud. And I know why you got a little Boehner up here. Because what your wife was doing was changing that road, changing that trajectory for generations. We know that by coming together as a community, we have made a decision that that path that we know is there is not going to be the path that our young people take. So I want to thank each and every one of the donors who have come together in such a meaningful way to support our young people, to support our families. And Sierra, you did a fantastic job, because nobody can explain it better what it means when a whole family is supported. So I want to thank you for what you are doing for generations.
You met Cheryl D'Atley from the Maryland State Department of Education and started hearing about this opportunity. And then George and Betsy, of course, commenced to ruin my life for the next 2 years, because we had a nice plan to do 5 in 5 years, and they said, no, we're going to do 8 and 3, and buck up, forget the vacation, forget the weekend, you're going to do this, BCF. But thank you for ruining that life. My wife isn't here today, by the way, so she's not feeling the same way. But Cheryl D'Atley is the person who makes this happen, and I'm thrilled to have her here from the Maryland State Department of Education to talk about how Judy Centers have made a difference.
Good morning. This has been one of the most powerful events I have ever been to since I started with the Judy Centers almost 15 years ago. I just want to thank everybody, and I've been a little teary-eyed myself, Tom, it's okay, and Mr. Hoyer. I'm asked to present on Judy Centers at conferences all over the place, all of the time, and after hearing all of these wonderful testimonials and all of these informational speeches, I figure I can delegate some of that out now to BCF. It's been about 3 years ago when I got a telephone call from Louise Corwin, the executive director of Ready at 5, and she told me that an organization had approached her, and they were interested in investing in early childhood, and she thought they should talk to Judy Centers. So, you know, I seized that opportunity, if you know me. We became fast partners with representatives from BCF, Tom Wilcox, Tom Gildee, Denista Hunt, and Cristina Lopez, and we met the Shermans almost immediately. We began meeting and talking and taking several tours of Moravia Park that you've heard about as we forged what would become a very rich partnership. And it was so refreshing to have everyone coming to the table with the same goal and the same public will. We all wanted to do the same thing, and as we talked, we all started realizing what we could contribute to ensuring that more children and families in Baltimore City, the neediest area in our state, were served. So making sure they were investing in the very best way, BCF put me to the test. They went on site monitoring visits with me to see how well I did. They participated. Tom Gildee came to the Judith P. Hoyer Foundation annual award ceremony. We crafted MOUs that had never been crafted before, grant agreements that we'd never seen before. The collaboration came together and it was executed very quickly and efficiently with no turf issues. So I've been a public servant since I was 20 years old, and this was one of the fastest things I've ever seen move through government. But we all had the common desire to serve the children and families. So it's such an accomplishment for MSDE to be able to say that we have public-private partnerships and that Judy Centers are funded by the state and by the federal government. They're funded by local school systems and by the private sector. These funders are all supporting 52 Judy Centers across the state now, serving 60 Title I school zones. And we are grateful for the continuing support of Congressman Hoyer and my favorite staffer, Betsy Bossert. They're always there for me. And on behalf of MSDE, I would like to thank BCF for their unwavering support and their confidence in our work, and for their wise choice to invest in us with their very generous donations. There will be a return on your investment. I guarantee it. Thank you.
We've had a lot of partners in this, not the least of which is the Baltimore City Schools, and I'm very happy to have Dr. Thornton, who's got big ideas as well, come forward and share a few words. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. Maybe afternoon. I'm going to assure you the tears I looked around that you saw were tears of happiness and joy for the future of our young people. As we take this journey, and what a journey it is, this is what I know. For my investors here, there's a document called Kindergarten Readiness Assessment. And last year I had the opportunity of taking a really good look. My staff ran in and said, I want you to see these results. And this was the first time that as Baltimore City, as an entity, outpaced the state. And I knew I was on to something special. And the reason we're there is because of you and your investment in the future of our children, the investment in the future of our city. The mayor said something about the fact that you got to have good soil. But let me tell you what you're doing. You're putting down some great soil. And I know that great soil will pay off. I know our youngsters will take this step up. Because I'm going to tell you, I can win a race. I don't know if I can. I saw you getting up, Stanley. I don't know. I may be able to take you on there. I saw you when you were on the floor getting up. But I can win a race if I have the same starting line. What we're doing is not only giving kids the same starting line, we're giving them a head start in life. And I know this, based on what I see every day, what I see in the hearts and when I talk to parents, that our kids are going to deliver, and they're going to deliver high. And I want you to, if you could, my teacher used to say, do one of these. Give yourselves a pat on the back for changing the trajectory for our young people in our city. Please, look to your left, look to your right. We're going to make Baltimore the city that I know it can be, and we're going to do it one step at a time. We're going to change the educational outcomes for our children, and we're going to put an insurance policy on this, George. We're going to put an insurance policy that our kids are going to come back to Baltimore and just do great things. And I want you to lay down tonight saying, I had a piece of that. Thank you for having a piece of that. Thank you on behalf of those children. And I will also say thank you on behalf of those parents, because I'm a parent, I'm a grandparent. And one of the things that was most important to me is I wanted to give my children a great opportunity in life. Well, guess what? You just gave them a great big step up, and we're going to continue to step up. To my donors, thank you. Thank you, thank you. You could be anywhere. You could be doing anything. But I think you have chosen a very, very wise investment in the future of our city. God bless you, and let's do it again. If we don't do Judy Centers, we can do some Lane Centers. We can do about another 30 or 40 of those. Because I would love to have a Judy Center right now at 12th grade to get these babies out. So see you soon, and thank you so, so much. Thank you, Stanley. Thank you, Nancy, for your work.
Few of us can really understand the kind of barriers that babies born in underserved neighborhoods face. It's a litany of barriers that seems all but impossible to get past. I ask a question, though, that if we can come together through a Judy Center and know, thanks to all these amazing Judy Center coordinators, and I see you all back there, know when every child is born, know their parents, help them hook up with all the services they need for that child to be ready, coordinate early Head Start with pre-kindergarten, be that glue, Demand that we have more slots for early Head Start and Head Start. Demand that we have more full-day slots for pre-kindergarten. Why would we ever have a half-day slot? These people are working 2 jobs to keep food on the table. We need a comprehensive infrastructure around these children if we're going to make it. Judy Centers have demonstrated that this is possible. What we need to begin to do today is to begin to ask a similar question about what happens to a child in this kind of circumstance from the time he or she is born until they're settled into a career, feeling great about themselves, paying taxes, making this a great, great city, and indeed having all the headlines around the globe being about opportunity. If we can do this, we can go to the next step. Every school can have a mental health counselor. Every school can have a counselor supporting children. Every school can connect neighborhood volunteers with all the things that need to happen. We can turn to our children and say that if you stay in school, there are options for you after school. It could be community college. It could be a certificate program. It could be college. But ladies and gentlemen, we can do this, and no good deed goes unpunished. That indeed, this is the beginning, and we're going to be back, I'm sorry to say, because the opportunities for our children and for our city and for the world are all limitless. We are now going to have a chance to have people meet each other. We've got principals. Would you raise your hand? Judy Center coordinators and people, raise your hands. There you are. Here are the donors. Find each other and chat, because they're the ones, obviously, who are doing the work. You all made it possible, and we were able to make some connections. But meet these people who are in our schools and making things happen. And once again, thank you, and thank you.
Thank you.